and we often see her standing
Isolation.
one remove,
Yes.
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 looking out of the window,
All the
and
time.
stuff is happening.
Yes.
You know, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder, going back to the art of not knowing, if not your framing of her is actually making us know something about her.
I worked off the long end of a Zoom. You know, it was a very deliberate decision, partly because there are times when I wanted to be out of the way, and there were times when she almost came to court the camera.
Yes, when she
towards the
walks towards
camera.
in the...
And
yeah.
that was really quite unusual, and I found that so sort of touching.
No, she obviously trusted you.
Well, she
It's like the children in Hold Me Tight.
Yeah.
You know, that Kimmy has that ability. Kim Longinato. She, everybody. I think it's an essential. By the way, it's an essential talent, unspoken and unexamined, of great documentary filmmakers, that they have that. You know, that people just respond to them, even though they're behind the camera. So you can take that as a compliment.
Well, that's a high compliment.
No. But I've often thought that, and I think it's critical. But it occurs to me that this talk about the interesting problem about consent is really, I think, to do with the whole issue, the Rousseauian issue of mentalité, right? What you're trying to do really is give us some sense of what the world, how this person experiences the world, without coming to any judgment or putting her into any pigeonholes, which is extremely admirable, but it speaks to the difficulties of actually penetrating surfaces.
It is, and also,
and that's why Rouge does all the reconstruction and the reenactments and all of those things, which obviously she can't do because.
And that's generous, but it's not what he's saying. He's saying, "Come on, be straight about it. You've made a load of judgments here. It's not an open."
Yes. No,
so I want to sort of acknowledge that's
Yeah.
true, but also that there's an aspiration to be a little bit broader than maybe in my case I would have been if I hadn't attempted to put down some of my reflexes and try to step into that not knowing. And it is really hard because I was there for days thinking, I'm getting nothing here. You know, I've got no idea what kind of form this story will take. And then, you know, slow down. I mean, elements of the slow movement actually argue for this. And you start to see, small gestures become major story points. The opening of a gate.
I think that's one of the things. It's this tension between how in shooting something we are aware of and use certain narrativizing rather than storytelling devices, like zooming in to give a sense of affect. And the extent to which we're also trying to represent a subject on the screen. And, one of the things that there are two particular shots, apart from this one, that I found quite powerful in the film. The first is when they're shopping and you're inside the car, and there's the whole thing of opening the door, coming in and out of the door and everything. And that does seem to penetrate into a certain depth. It seems to have a different level of engagement about it, because it's more you in an internal space and Justine wanting to come into you as a kind of meeting point. And the other one is in the party sequence where they're singing Happy Birthday, and she is in the centre of that group, you remember. She's there, she's clapping, and she's even mouthing the words. But the moment that is over, she moves to the edge. And because these are two very different shot setups, but they give us a different sense of how the sort of filmmaking process is working alongside using a sense of implying an interpretation and also trying to stand back. So it's those tension between the two that I think stylistically comes through.